04:36 CST, the 17th of January 2018. Updated 10:53 EST, the 17th of January 2018. They make up one half of one of the most renowned pop groups of all time. And it was just like all times when Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr were reunited on the red carpet of Paul's daughter Stella's latest fashion event in Los Angeles. The iconic musicians were seen sharing a catch-up and speaking to press as they attended the event. Paul, 75, and Ringo, 77, chatted to one another like the old pals that they are, with their respective wives on their arms. Scroll down for video. Come together. Paul McCartney enjoyed a mini Beatles reunion at his daughter Stella's event in LA as he caught up with former bandmate Ringo Starr on the red carpet. Nancy Chevelle joined husband Paul in a tropical leaf print dress, while Barbara Bach stood beside spouse Ringo in a sleek black ensemble. Nancy, 58, married the rocker in 2011, 3 years after his divorce from Heather Mills. She is his third wife. His first, Linda, died in 1998 from breast cancer. She was the mother to Stella and other siblings Mary, Heather, and James. Barbara, 71, married Ringo in 1981. She is his second wife, having divorced from Maureen Starkey-Tigert in 1975. Quartet, Nancy Chevelle joined husband Paul in a tropical leaf print dress, while Barbara Bach stood beside spouse Ringo in a sleek black ensemble. Now and then, Paul and Ringo are the remaining Beatles stars. Having lost George Harrison to lung cancer in 2001 and John Lennon prior to that in 1980, John was murdered in New York by gunman Mark David Chapman. Pictured at the launch of Sgt. Pepper in June 1967. Paul and Ringo are the remaining Beatles stars. Having lost George Harrison to lung cancer in 2001 and John Lennon prior to that in 1980, John was murdered in New York by gunman Mark David Chapman. Ringo and Paul have since gone on to pursue other musical endeavors since their time in the Beatles came to an end in 1970. They have reunited on various occasions over the years, notably in 1990 after the death of bandmate John, along with George, who was at that time still fit and healthy. The remaining Beatles collaborated on the anthology project. It was the culmination of work begun in 1970, when Apple Corps director Neil Aspinall, their former road manager and personal assistant, had started to gather material for a documentary with the working title The Long and Winding Road. Musicians, Paul and Ringo performed on stage together during the 56th Grammy Awards at Staples Center in 2014. The last two of the Fab Four, Paul and Ringo, joined Yoko Ono, Lennon and Olivia Harrison, the wives of the late John and George, at the first anniversary of the Beatles' Love at the Mirage Hotel Casino in Las Vegas in 2007, documenting their history. In the band's own words, the anthology project included the release of several unissued Beatles recordings. He also released 2 songs based on the late John's demos, Free as a Bird and Real Love. Ringo and Paul were among the musicians who performed at the Concert for George, organized by Eric Clapton, following his death in 2001. The tribute event took place at the Royal Albert Hall on the first anniversary of the late guitarist's death. As they were, the Beatles, clockwise from top left, featured Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, John Lennon, and George Harrison at Cello's event. Ringo and Paul eventually disappeared off to enjoy the rest of the party and mingle with a slew of other celebrities who had all turned out for Paul's fashion designer daughter Stella's presentation. Also in attendance was Paris Jackson, presenting a potentially awkward situation for Paul, after her late father, Michael, outbid him for the rights to the Beatles' back catalogue in 1985. But 32 years later, Paul put the feud behind him as he posed for photos with the King of Pop's daughter, looking far from acrimonious. No hard feelings. Paul put the feud behind him and Michael Jackson aside as he posed for photos with the late King of Pop's daughter Paris, 19, in LA. Friends turned frenemies. The King of Pop and the Beatle had a hit with their duet Say in 1983. 1983, 2 years later, Jackson purchased the rights to the Beatles' catalogue of songs Love Fest. Paris also posed with Paul's designer daughter Stella McCartney at the presentation of her latest designs. The musical superstar reached a settlement last year with Sony/ATV with regards to the catalogue that Sony acquired from Jackson's estate following his death for $750 million. Jackson and McCartney had a big hit together with Say in 1983. The Beatle had previously maintained that he couldn't afford to buy back the rights to the songs he co-wrote with John Lennon and reached a settlement with Sony after filming Suit in January 2017 to reclaim his rights to the material. Hippie chic, Paris. Jackson, 19, wore a sweater mini dress to Tuesday night's Stella McCartney presentation in Los Angeles. On Message, the teen daughter of the late King of Pop added a pair of the British designer's platform shoes to go with her blue and red knit out